The most senior non-political Treasury official, David LeBrick, is leaving the department unexpectedly. That's according to three sources. It's the result of the latest effort of Trump-affiliated officials attempting to stop certain payments being made by the federal government. These are things like Social Security checks, trillions of dollars in funds being dispersed. CNN's media analyst Sarah Fisher is joining us now. Sarah, good to have you. Look, Elon Musk, we knew it was kind of a package deal, and there was no secret about that with Trump on the campaign trail. He's been doing a lot, though, and I want to start first with this Treasury thing, because this is pretty unique. His allies were asking for access to this very sensitive payment system that is responsible for putting out and distributing trillions of dollars of funds.
Yeah, so instead of going to Congress, repealing the laws that ensure that those payments go through to everyday Americans, things like Medicaid, Social Security, you mentioned a few, I think to him it's probably much faster to just cut the spending where the valve is,
right,
which happens to be this very small department within the Department of Treasury. Now, the challenge here, Jessica, is that, of course, you're able to very quickly cut through federal spending by doing that, but the implications of that in the short term and the long term could be disastrous, according to economic officials. So if you think about it, how many people do you know personally that make their spending decisions based off of their Social Security checks, or who make their career decisions based off of whether or not they're going to get a pension or a Medicare or a Medicaid payment? These are the types of things that would impact not just the U.S. economy, but in turn the global economy, which relies on spending here to continue to fuel itself. Also remember, Jessica, the U.S. is responsible for paying other governments all the time. You come late on those payments, now you're talking about various types of interest fees and debts. So it's not just the U.S. economy, it's the global economy. And when you move so quickly, you don't have even the time to process these implications.
Totally. And what is so interesting here, too, is another thing that this department does is, remember, our debt ceiling suspension is now expired, and they're taking these extraordinary measures, is what they call them, to kind of make sure they know exactly when that money is going to run out without lifting it. And they want access to that, too. It's a lot of really sensitive things. And obviously, Elon Musk has an MO. We know what he did with X. He clearly wants to repeat some of that within the federal government. But are they the same?
Well, from a scale perspective, they're nowhere near the same. Think about it. You have millions of people that are employed by the federal government. You have about 7,500 people that were employed by X before Elon Musk cut it down to about 1,500. So these are not the same thing in terms of the size. But then also the role and the scope. X was all about innovation. In the government, of course, innovation matters, but balancing getting people paid and making sure that the country moves at the right pace is much different than what you're trying to innovate with a private company. The last thing I'll note, in trying to bring in a lot of Musk allies as a part of DOGE, this Department of Government Efficiency, there's been some concern from within the Treasury Department that CNN has reported and others that they don't all have the necessary security clearances to be able to access this type of information, which is what set off a bunch of alarms, prompted some people to leave the department. That is critically important, because for so long, the people who have had access to the things like payouts of trillions of dollars are people that we've trusted through background checks, security clearances. The fact that Musk is coming in, bringing his allies that don't have these types of protocols should be very alarming to a lot of Americans.
And institutional knowledge, right?
Correct.
They really understand how this works. And I think as we are in this environment, and you cover media, you know, where so much is coming at us, it's stuff like this that is worth paying attention to, because while it seems very in the weeds, as you note, it could potentially affect so many people.
Absolutely. And by the way, this is not just his MO here. You take a look at what's happening. Elon Musk is trying to influence government elections all around the world, getting involved in the Germany's far-right party, trying to endorse that, shifting election sentiment there. He's gotten involved in the UK Prime Minister fight. So this is not just a U.S. thing. This is somebody who has global ambitions to really come in with sweeping power. And one might ask, why? I mean, look at him. He's a global innovator who has to deal with many regulations, many investigations. This is somebody who has a lot to benefit from an innovation perspective, but also from a personal perspective.
Right, there's financial interests as well. Sarah Fisher, as always, thank you so much. And